Hey guys, today we're going to talk a little bit about putter setup, alignment, and maybe my eye position too. First, it's important to know what your dominant eye is. The way to do that is quite simple. Find an object, keep both eyes open, make a circle with your hand, put it on that object, close one eye, then close the other. The eye that keeps it in the circle is your dominant eye. Once you determine what your dominant eye is, it's really important to figure out where your eye sits over the golf ball. It'll help you with reading your putts, it'll help you seeing it, and it'll also determine whether we want you to line up that line on the ball or not. If you're left eye dominant and you're a right-handed putter, when you position your eyes over top of the golf ball, you want your left eye directly over top of the golf ball. So if I take a ball from my eye and I drop it, it should hit that ball underneath. If I am right eye dominant like I am, if you're right eye dominant, in fact, we want our eyes a little bit behind the putter. So as I behind the ball. As I address the ball, I want my eyes to sit not directly on top of the golf ball, a little bit behind. I want that ball sitting under my right eye, so in fact it ends up being a little bit more towards the middle of my stance rather than the front of my stance. And then as I address the golf ball, I'm going to keep my eyes on that line. Now, I said earlier that we were talking about whether we line up the golf ball or not. If you're left eye dominant, use the line to line up in the direction. If you're right eye dominant, because we've set our eyes inside and behind a little bit, you might set your golf ball down with that line pointed in the direction you want, and as you address the golf ball, it doesn't look like where it's supposed to go. Sometimes it looks like it's going left. So as a right eye dominant putter, try not to use a line on a golf ball. See how well you can do that. If you're left eye dominant, by all means use it. I'm not saying use it or don't use it, but that's the difficulty that it has when we put our eyes in the right position. Once my eyes are in the right position, I really want to get my feet a little wider than shoulder stance. I'm going to set my weight into my heels more than my toes. I want to anchor myself into the ground. Sometimes I'll recommend that people really anchor themselves a little bit more into their lead leg, that lead heel, to keep things quiet. But what I really want to feel is my weight is a little bit more in my heels. That way when I set up over my putt, I'm really stable in my lower body and my head stays really steady because of it. So my putting stroke then can kind of work from my upper body, call it shoulders. I don't want to take my hands out of it. I don't want to have a putting stroke that's just purely a shoulder stroke. I want to have some softness in my hands. When we look at great putters, there's a wonderful little flow to the putting stroke. So I want to make sure that my grip is not too hard. My lower body is anchored, but now I've got a nice little flow for moving back and forth. Once I get my eyes in position, once I get my heels into the ground, and once I've got my head steady and I've got that nice little flow, we've built ourselves a pretty good and repeatable putting stroke, and now we can go roll some putts.